If only we had a renowned, respected, hugely popular national writer at our disposal weekly to come in and break everything down for us. But we got Sam Amick from The Athletic joining us right now. Who is all those things?
Is he plugging anything today?
Yeah. Are you let me see. Is Sam plugging anything?
I know I'm shamelessly pumping the poll here.
Is that right? Good morning, Sam.
That was my finest moment on the show.
It will live forever.
Yeah, we've gotten a lot of use out of that, Sam.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know you go on a lot of other shows, and that's fine, as long as you're thinking of us while you're doing it.
Hello.
But I just hope that when you come on here, it's a little more unique than I just can't imagine you going on the Today Show or whatever is respectable. I don't know where he goes. They're talking about you pumping the poll, which, by the way, was a poll that The Athletic put out last week, and we encourage you to go view it at theathletic.com or on the article, on the website, all that stuff. So, yeah, Sam, welcome in.
I appreciate it. Good to see you, boys. And for, thank you for letting me always pump whatever I need to pump on this show.
Wow. Did you just clean your camera?
Yeah, I did. That happened.
We had a long conversation yesterday about something, Jason and I, and
probably sports related, maybe.
It was why I texted you, because I was actually going to have you pop in real quick if you weren't doing nothing, but you were. I noticed your noties were silenced. Sorry I didn't respond yesterday. I wanted to be a surprise today for you, because we got really excited about this, but then also like about a half hour ago we said you're going to come on and like just burst our whole bubble with this thing. So we were talking about how Roger Goodell said that he wants to make the NFL 18 games, cut the preseason to 2, and then put the Super Bowl on President's Day weekend, whether it's a Saturday or Sunday, the idea being that a lot of people have Monday off, so you kind of help with the whole holiday after the Super Bowl thing. And so Jason had brought up, look, we can all agree the pandemic was terrible, but one of the, I guess, bright spots of everything that happened was we got to see what would happen if the NBA season started on Christmas. So what we were thinking is this is the perfect sports world, Sam. The NBA opening day is on Christmas, and the NBA and the NFL kind of cut a deal where unless Christmas falls on a Sunday, the NFL leaves it alone. That's going to give the NFL more of their year to themselves and a little bit of baseball. Then as it happened before, basketball goes all the way. All right, you have the All-Star game. What did we say, Jason? In April. April. Then you have the NBA Finals sometime in August. You then have the Vegas Fall League, which might be the best part, the draft, free agency, all of that. And then as basketball and all that's winding up, you've got MLB playoffs, which is the only part of the season that matters. You have training camps open and preseason starting in the NFL, and they kick that off. And we have year-round awesome sports to talk about. Why would the NBA not want to do that?
Man, you're throwing a lot at me.
I know. Good morning.
I mean, where is the void that you're trying to fix right now, I guess, is my
June,
question.
July, and August, when it's just baseball, and we don't want – this is all really, Sam, about content for our show for the summer, where we don't have to talk about, the Giants fell 3-1 to the Pirates, and it's game 80.
Yeah, if you start in December, then that pushes everything back. Yeah, it's just basically starting everything later, giving football more of its open window, and basketball really more of its open window.
I mean, the number one thing is you're not going to get that done because of international basketball, and FIBA World Cup and the Olympics is going to be an issue.
Yeah, we talked about the Olympics. But you know what? Why isn't basketball a Winter Olympic sport? Which shouldn't it be a Winter Olympic sport, being that, it's a winter sport? So just switch it.
You're just changing the world here. You're trying.
I am. Let's go, baby. Or God forbid you go amateurs again. Who cares?
Yeah, no, I hear you. I mean, although, right now, as you guys know, it's the old heads want in on the Olympics. So it's nothing but future Hall of Famers. I mean, it was interesting, and there were good parts of the COVID season when it comes to the way it all went down. But I think you're exploring a pipe dream here, but I see some of your logic.
Is it also, I mean, we were trying to think of holes to poke in it. Because also, look, the NBA they don't have to compete with the NFL nearly as much. It helps the NFL, not that they need it, where they're not competing with the NBA. You separate those. Baseball's like, don't do it, but who cares? And then on top of that, the biggest hole I thought was they might push back, other than tradition and blah, blah, that, the idea is that weekends and summers, nobody watches TV, summertime, everybody's vacationing and all that. I don't know if that's still true or not.
I think that's a concern. But really the biggest thing for me, not to just repeat myself, but the NBA game has become so international. I mean, you're talking about the best players in the game, and a lot of them actually care more about playing for their national teams than a lot of American guys do. So, I don't see it happening. And I think the deep summer concern is legit as well. Just the idea that you're going to have some of your most important games in July and August and September, I think would be troublesome. Also, the NBA is printing money, so I don't know why they would change anything right now.
Good point right there. All right.
Well, that's it, Sam.
Thanks.
Rats.
Rats.
Sam, how about the other thing we've been talking about is basically the teams that have been eliminated already. We talked about the Lakers and the Suns. If we kind of focus on those two teams right now that have interesting decisions to make in the offseason, first being their head coaches, secondly, kind of roster and KD making him happy, LeBron making him happy. Where are you right now in kind of the Lakers coaching and Suns coaching potential there in their futures?
Well, it's funny you should ask, Jason. Every once in a while, I joke about the different team swag that finds its way back to my house. As I got on today, I happened to grab. We have another yellow towel today. The Lakers towel says it takes everybody, which I thought the motto was funny because not everybody is probably going to come with them into next season. I think that I still expect most likely, couch it, but just extremely strong signs that Darvin Ham would not be back for next year, but he's still the coach right now. And they are taking a number of days to reassess the entire season, figure out what they like, what they don't like. And there's been a lot of noise around Darvin. We obviously reported on that quite a bit. Within that, D'Angelo Russell's got a player option, which I think a lot of focus on LeBron. And obviously we know his story and situation is going to be front and center. The D'Angelo thing is actually kind of a big deal, I think, for them, because say what you will about him, he was a pretty important player for them. And if he just walks, then they got to figure that out. So they got a lot of questions to answer. And you mentioned the Suns too, Jay. Frank Vogel, similar to Darvin, job security in question. I actually think he's, we'll see. I could be wrong, but if I'm handicapping it, I wouldn't be shocked if they held on to Frank. They gave him a 5-year deal. And I think there's, objectively a way you can look at that situation and say that Frank has a lot to improve on, but that he wasn't the problem, so to speak. So, but yeah, it's that time of year. A lot of change for a lot of teams.
It's interesting because I'm trying to decide which way I want to go, because you mentioned the LeBron James thing, and we can get back to Vogel and Ham. I'm obsessed with the LeBron James thing, not necessarily because I am obsessed with LeBron, but just that this has the ability, Sam, to be such an unprecedented thing. We've never had a father play with a son before. We've never had a situation like this. And you saw the reports. I'm sure you heard the reports, or even heard the reports directly from the source, knowing you, that the Lakers were open to drafting Bronny James. And so I like a lot of other fans
on the show, because you let me pump my poll, on this show. Yes, I wrote that, buddy. That was
okay. I didn't want to put you on the spot, but yes, and by putting you on the spot, meaning I didn't want to give you credit for the thing that you broke. But here's the thing: the Lakers are open to drafting Bronny James. You know who else is probably open to drafting Bronny James? About 29 other teams. And where I'm going, where I'm going here, is the Kings have the number 13 pick in the draft. If they knew that LeBron James was going to follow his son anywhere, the idea becomes you're effectively trading the 13 pick in the draft to get a 3 or 4, who's arguably the greatest player of all time. LeBron said he needs time to clarify this, that, or whatever, but at least through back channels, doesn't he have to at some point clarify, no, if you draft Bronny, I'm not automatically going there? And Sam, if he doesn't clarify that, or he does say, I'm going to go where Bronny goes, doesn't that create something we've never seen before?
Yeah, but I feel like the intel and the messaging is already out there that it's not a package deal like we thought it was going to be potentially months ago. LeBron and his agent, Rich Paul, both have publicly massaged their messaging about Bronny. And honestly, it was long overdue, was making it clear that his journey and his path, just independent of everything else, was the priority, and getting him into a good spot where, if he did enter the draft, if he did try to take a crack at the league, that, that his development and his happiness were the priorities, not, this stuff about him playing with his dad. The Lakers thing, I think, is different because the signs are already fairly strong that LeBron will stay with the Lakers. I think the possibility of having Bronny be on their G League team or be in training camp or whatever it might be is just they are starting to treat LeBron and nobody is going to ever touch Kobe's status within that organization, but he's getting a little bit of the Kobe treatment these days because they are pretty happy with him, where it is like, hey, if this is one more thing that makes your Laker experience positive and fulfilling, then we will do what we can do. That's very different than the Kings drafting Bronny and then getting LeBron. Like that's just not happening that way anymore. And really, LeBron and his people are trying to kind of end that storyline.
So if that's the case, Sam, are the Lakers, is this like the one team that would draft him, or where does Bronny potentially go? Because is he even on people's draft boards?
I don't think so. Now, full disclosure, I haven't asked, that specific question of a bunch of teams, but in terms of his mock draft status and what you see and hear from folks who cover the draft very closely and people around the league, is that, at best he's a late second round pick and a guy that certainly would profile as going undrafted, if he wasn't LeBron James's son. So I do think that the Lakers thing, again, is unique. And then from there, it's just a question of, he is represented by one of, if not the most influential agencies in the game these days. And so I don't think that Rich Paul is going to struggle to find a good home for Bronny in the NBA. I don't know what that looks like, though. I think the G League is absolutely on the table, and it should be. He had a really just not impactful freshman season, has been through hell stuff. We know all that. But yeah, as far as his draft status, he's not a premier guy at all.
So I just want to drill down one last time on this so we're clear. In your opinion, or if not your opinion, your educated opinion, obviously, no team should be looking at drafting Bronny James as any sort of increase in chance of pulling LeBron James from the Lakers. You think that's a storyline? They, regardless of who drafts him, they're not going to look at that as like, maybe we'll go to Charlotte, Sacramento, San Antonio.
No.
That's not a thing.
Because the biggest thing is LeBron has shown no signs of being willing to take a pay cut, which is what it would happen or what it would require for the vast majority of the teams in the NBA. Because beyond that, you're really only talking about, I don't have it in front of me, but Philadelphia, Orlando, San Antonio, that have the type of cap space, maybe to sign LeBron when you're talking about $50-60 million a year. So that's just not, that's why the Lakers remain the leader in the clubhouse. And yes, to your question, I think that, package deal mentality and idea is not there anymore.
So on that, just one follow-up on that, is a LeBron LA reunion, if that does happen, what kind of contract are we talking about for him at this point?
It's funny because we reported two things that, Shams Charania had reported in our piece that LeBron, if you were handicapping it, that like playing 1 to 2 more years appeared to be the most likely scenario. Now the 2-year thing is interesting because, and I think I have this right, All-Star Weekend in LA is in LA 2 years from now. And, you talk about having a goodbye tour in the way that Kobe did. I think LeBron probably is leaning towards having something like that. So having LA All-Star Weekend as like a tentpole event to be near the end, it seems like it's something that has been discussed behind the scenes. But there's some chatter that maybe he just opts into his current deal and does one more year. I don't know at this point. Now the Lakers, we reported this too. They're so all in on LeBron and him just being part of the solution, not part of the problem, that if he wanted to talk about the 3-year deal, which is the max that he can get at this stage of his career, it's like 3 for I think 164 million. They'd be willing to talk about that too. And I'll be honest, as I reported on this story, like asked a very specific question of Lakers people who make decisions, like, so you're ready for 42-year-old LeBron? And there was like not a hesitation at all. Like, yep, let's go. So I don't see that happening, but that shows you, where the Lakers are at.
I know this is an unfair question as we talk to Sam Amick of The Athletic. LeBron James is doing unprecedented things at his age. LeBron James is still one of the best players in the NBA. I can't imagine LeBron James is worth $55 million a year from a pure basketball standpoint. So, Sam, is LeBron James to a team like the Lakers, is it just you're automatically making a profit and it has very little to do? Are there the external surrounding peripheral things with LeBron James that are really justifying that contract as much or more than the actual on-court play?
For sure. And then I would add to that by saying the Lakers business profile is very unique in that, they signed, I forget the timing, but, they signed a 25-year local regional contract with Spectrum Sportsnet, at the time, Time Warner, for $3 billion plus. And they have a fairly significant pressure and demand to have eyeballs on this team. They, what they have got to avoid is the Lonzo Ball, Kyle Kuzma, Julius Randle era, where, these players either didn't develop, quickly enough or got hurt and they weren't winning games and the ratings were plummeting. That's just not something that's okay. Now, sure. LeBron James he's as proven a commodity when it comes to eyeballs as there is in the entire NBA. And so I think that's why they want to extend the runway.
Sam, how about LA's other team? We'll say the Clippers. They're not out. They still could win the series, but they took a big loss yesterday. Kawhi's still out. If they were to go out, they got a brand new building coming up. They got legends that they got to decide on, whether it's Harden, Paul George, Westbrook. What could be the fallout if they're eliminated, let's say in Game 6?
It's funny. I mean, I enjoy this time of year, you guys, because, it's the behind the scenes stuff and the off-season transactions. And so it's like, I feel like every couple of days we are trying to put stories together, answering those questions. Like, okay, this team's out, we call them obits, and this is obviously kind of dark, but I'm currently trying to do that with the Clippers. And, we just did the Lakers one. I'm trying to get answers to those questions, right out the gate. And I'm a little surprised to share this. I don't know. It sounds like even if they fall flat, like they are on the verge of doing now, that running it back is the plan. Trying to re-sign Paul George, which has not happened yet. They already re-signed Kawhi Leonard. James Harden, they want James back. Westbrook is much, much less certain. He's got a player option for next year. And, that's a different conversation, I think. But I think Ty Lue is still getting a big thumbs up. The one thing you wonder, for one, Steve Ballmer being a guy who's wildly competitive and filthy rich, that's always a combination that comes with volatility potentially. Now, he actually hasn't been a very volatile owner. He's had the same front office for I think almost the entire time he's been there, I believe. Two coaches, Doc Rivers and Ty Lue. So I can't pretend to know exactly where Steve's head is at, but so far what I'm learning is that they know that this is a flawed, older group of future Hall of Famers, but I think it's still their best plan and the best thing to have, because you can't, clear the deck and go get a bunch of new guys.
Sam Amick of The Athletic joining us. Sam, when I look at the Sacramento Kings, as we pivot there, They have 4 guys making $15 million or more. Malik Monk made just about $10 million last year. Trey Lyles, 8, etc. I'm using that as a base. All of those count towards the salary cap. Now, all signs seem to point, or a lot of signs seem to point, and I know you guys have reported on this, that Mike Brown's camp is looking for a contract extension. It sounds like he wants that to be an 8-figure number yearly, $10 million. My guess is, and I'm guessing here, but generally those are 4-year with 3 opt-out or 3 with a 2. My guess is 4 and 3. So you're talking about, let's just say, a 4-year, $40 million contract with a 3rd-year opt-out or a mutual opt-out. And I continue to wonder, Sam, number one, do you think that's something the Kings hezzy on a little bit? And number two, with it not counting towards the cap and with that amount of money equaling to a rotational player, why do teams seemingly so often have so much hesitation when the worst case scenario is it's like having a player you signed that turned to crap? You're going to eat some money, but again, it's not a cap effect. Why is this an issue?
It's a great question. And really, you're always, there it is. Do a victory lap, buddy. It's been a while since you gave me a good story idea, and here you are doing it again.
Hey, that's what I do.
I can speculate, but I don't know the answer because it really does seem to cause significant angst of owners.
It's unnecessary.
Yeah, and owners let it make the decision. Like the Lakers are a good example. It seems like they're going to be comfortable parting ways with Darvin, but I forget if they're done paying Vogel yet. Like if you're paying multiple coaches, that bothers owners. But relative to the player salaries, to your point, it's not a drop in the bucket, but it's not a game changer. Do I think the Kings will hezzy? And now you got me like envisioning like a Vivek, jab step and hezzy.
Killer crossover.
I think I don't know. I'll be honest. I think we might see a little Vivek hezzy that especially at that kind of a number. But I'm I don't know. I haven't talked to him about it. Like we wrote, the messaging was that there had been a wait and see approach with Mike. But we don't pick sides in this job. I think for the healthiness of their organization and their culture, if they are trying to keep the momentum going forward, the hezzy should be followed by an actual shot. Because otherwise it is going to be a distraction. So we'll see what happens.
And an unnecessary distraction. Yeah. Look, and by the way, I don't want to, and I know you're not, I don't want to convict Vivek of a crime he hasn't committed yet. It's just, it stands to say that if there is hesitation, if by fall this hasn't been taken care of, then it's both barrels at the organization. I think, at least from my perspective, it's unnecessary. And by the way, 10 million is a lot of money. You know what else is a lot of money? Paying like 4 coaches at the same time because you keep recycling and firing coach after coach after coach, which I think they might still be. This might be the last year of Luke Walton. I don't think so. I think they're finally paying just one coach for the first time since 1884. They're paying just one coach. We actually have our coaches being taken and going to other teams as coaches and rumored to be going to other teams as coaches. So anyway, that's Sam Amick. He's got his finger on the pulse of the button of the thing. Read The Athletic. Go to theathletic.com, download the app, and support Sam and his Laker towel. Thank you, Sam.
Thanks, guys. Be good.
All right, take care. That's Sam Amick. We'll take a break. When we come back, speaking of the